Massive transfer shock as Rangers look to hijack a Premier League star in a move that could explode the January window. One summer signing already set for the bin as Wolves come knocking in the middle of a defensive disaster. Bojan Miovski, from goal machine to ghost. The brutal stats that could seal his fate at Ibrox. And outrage erupts over that decision in the derby as the SFA back the indefensible. Rangers demand answers and the conspiracy chat refuses to die. It's all kicking off. Stay locked in. You don't want to miss a second of this. Shea Charles, a name that might not ring a bell just yet, but believe me, it soon will. Reports from down south suggest Southampton are ready to part ways with the former Manchester City Academy star. And guess who's watching the situation closely? That's right, your Rangers. And more importantly, your manager, Danny Rohl. Now, you'll know the name from his time at Sheffield Wednesday. That's where Charles flourished under Rohl, earning Player of the Season no less. Aged just 22, the Northern Irish midfielder was a standout in England's second tier. Since then, he's been a key figure at Southampton until a hamstring injury and a managerial change threw everything into uncertainty. Here's the twist. Despite being one of Southampton's top performers early in the season, the new regime might not fancy him. His contract runs out in just over 18 months, and there's no sign of an extension, which means, in footballing terms, the South Coast club are staring down the barrel of losing him for peanuts if they don't cash in soon. Enter Rangers, with Rohl now settled at Ibrox and already pulling this team up by the scruff of the neck. You can sense the ambition building. This wouldn't just be a signing. This would be a statement, the kind of signing that shows we mean business again. A player Rohl knows, trusts, and rates as fantastic. And with Charles having already proven he can mix it in the rough and tumble of the Championship, you can bet he'd boss it in the Scottish Premiership. Of course, there's Premier League interest expected next summer, and that's why this window, January, is key. Rangers need to move fast, move smart, and make the lad feel this is the platform he needs to go to the very top. If Shea Charles is good enough to be a Premier League midfielder, should Rangers break the bank and beat the English vultures to him? Or are we risking throwing millions away on another English project who will be using us as a stepping stone? It was meant to be a fresh start, a promising addition to a new-look Rangers under American ownership and Danny Rohl's leadership. But here we are, and the Nasser Djiga experiment at Ibrox already looks like one for the bin. Signed on loan from Wolves after a £10 million transfer from Red Star Belgrade, Djiga came with pedigree and promise. Instead, what Rangers got was inconsistency, questionable decision-making at the back, and a growing sense that he's simply not up to the standard needed to wear that blue shirt. Let's be honest, you've seen enough to know. The boy just doesn't cut it. Now, with Wolves appointing Rob Edwards and sitting bottom of the Premier League, they're in panic mode, and panic breeds opportunity. The word from England is they might recall Djiga to patch up their leaky defense. That'd be a blessing in disguise for Rangers. We get to cut our losses early without even lifting a finger. And let's not gloss over the deeper problem here. Kevin Thelwell, it's his name on the dotted line next to Djiga's loan. It's also his signature on that £8 million deal for Youssef Chermati, another signing that's failed to hit the mark. Now, Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers might still be backing Thelwell in public, but behind the scenes, you'd imagine the patience is running thin. If January's another horror show, it could be the end of the road for the man in charge of transfers. So here's one to get the blood boiling. If Wolves come calling for Djiga, should Rangers drive him back to Molineux themselves? Or is the real problem not the players, but the man signing them? You don't need a stat sheet to tell you what your eyes have already seen. Bojan Miovski has been a massive letdown in a Rangers shirt. 2 goals in all competitions, 1 in the league, 4 big chances missed, and now sitting with a SofaScore rating of just 6.35. That's not the output you expect from a striker who cost good money and came with a reputation from his time at Aberdeen. Let's not forget, this is a lad who banged in 18 and then 26 goals in back-to-back seasons. Folk thought he was going to hit the ground sprinting at Ibrox. But instead of a goal machine, we've got a striker who looks like he's second-guessing every touch, every run, every decision. And here's where it gets brutal. Aberdeen, you can get away with going 4 or 5 games without scoring. They'll still sing your name and give you time. But this is Rangers. You wear that jersey, you carry a weight that most players simply can't handle. You're expected to deliver every week, not every other month. Even Celtic's own Charlie Mulgrew, and trust me, he's not exactly Rangers' biggest cheerleader, said it straight. Miovski doesn't have the luxury of time here. The pressure, the spotlight, the expectations, they're all tenfold at Ibrox, and if you can't cope, you get replaced. Simple as that. And speaking of replacements, Danilo is starting to shine under Danny Rohl. The Brazilian's comeback goal against Hibs and his link-up play are exactly what this team's been crying out for. He looks hungry, he looks sharp, and you can bet your last penny that Rohl's noticing the difference. Miovski's touch map shows he's barely involved, just 13 touches per game and only 0.25 shots on target. It's not good enough, not by Rangers standards. Which brings us to this. Is Bojan Miovski just another flat-track bully who crumbled under real pressure, or does he deserve more time to prove he's not just a big fish from a small pond? Another derby, another howler, another moment where VAR officials and the so-called guardians of fairness in Scottish football come up short, and who's on the receiving end again? You. Rangers, this time it's Austin Trusty planting a forearm into Jack Butland's head in the semi-final of the Premier Sports Cup. Everyone in the stadium saw it. Everyone at home saw it. But somehow, Nick Walsh only reached for yellow. VAR had a look and backed it. And then comes Willie Collum sitting behind a desk days later trying to pull the wool over your eyes with a jargon-filled explanation about negligible force and violent conduct. Let's be clear, if that challenge happens the other way round with a Rangers defender catching Joe Hart in the head, you're down to 10 men before you can blink. There's no room for interpretation then, is there? David Edgar said it best. 4 words that sum it all up. Not fit for purpose. That's Collum. That's the VAR process. And right now, that's the standard of officiating that Rangers are being forced to accept while trophies slip away and the narrative is spun elsewhere. Now, Danny Rohl's chosen the high road. He's staying focused on the football, fair enough. But the silence from him shouldn't be mistaken for weakness. It's professionalism. The noise is coming from the stands, from you, and it's getting louder. The results don't lie. Either 5 derby matches, Rangers unbeaten in 4, 2 wins and 2 draws, before the latest 3-1 loss. That one match is now being defined by a decision that could have changed everything. And yet again, it's being swept under the carpet like we're supposed to move on. So here it is, straight to the point. If a Rangers player made that same challenge on Joe Hart, does anyone actually believe they'd still be on the park? Drop your thoughts in the comments and give the video a like to support the channel. Daily updates on our Rangers. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing it all. Catch you in the next one.